All right. So, have you ever had a night where you are just sitting down and then all of a sudden you look up and it's like complete darkness? I had that the other night. My dog and I were sitting on my couch. We were watching a preseason hockey game. He was just relaxing. I know he's a character, so the fact that he was sitting crazy. So anyway, we were sitting there and all of a sudden I'm like, "Oh my word, it's really dark. Like what happened?" And so I decided to turn the flashlight on of my phone so that way I could like get up and turn the light on without breaking a toe. And when I turned the flashlight on, I had it positioned just right that it caused Maverick's shadow to go really, really big against the wall. And he he started to get kind of scared and he started growling and barking and it was really quite funny. But he was at his own shadow. So like I could hear the growl like build up into his belly and just get bigger and bigger and bigger. And so I kind of messed with him a little bit because I'm that good of a dog mom. And I would like move my flashlight around and around and so like it would make it bigger or it would make it smaller or I'd like put it on the floor and stuff like that. And the bigger that I caused the shadow, the more upset he was becoming and like the bigger he tried to make himself. And at one point he even stood up and was like growling crazy and barking and like I like then flew the flashlight on the ground. He jumped onto the ground to try to fight and his own shadow. I was cracking up. It was hilarious. And then I tried to take a video of it, but it didn't work because then when I turned on my recording device, like it just then stopped the flashlight. So I was like, well, that stinks. I can't even videotape this. And so people can't understand how funny this actually is. But this got me thinking, how often do we fight fears and insecurities in our own lives that we don't necessarily need to fight? Like I think of myself and I think of my fear of failures. I think of my fear of rejection. I think of all of the fears that I have put upon myself and I have put in my own life that are not of the Lord, right? These fears, like fear of rejection, fear of failures, like those are not fears that the Lord has given and they are not healthy for me and they are not good for me. And they are from listening to the darkness. They are from listening to the lies that the devil tries to throw at me or the king of darkness will put these into our minds, just like the darkness put this shadow onto the wall and only stopped once I turned the light on. Like Maverick finally stopped only when I turned the light on. These fears of mine, the ones that I place upon myself, the ones that I'm not talking about, like fear, like some fears are good and they bring you to the Lord, like, right, the fear of the Lord and stuff like that. But these are things that I fight in my own power. I fight in my own strength and I try to make myself bigger and I try to fight them alone. But it's only until I turn on my light, when I go to the Lord, do these fears diminish? Do these fears decrease? When I turn to Christ and when I turn to my light of lights, does my fear of insecurities, my fears and insecurities, my fear of failure, my fear of rejection, do they decrease? And then also, like, on top of this, like, the bigger that his shadow became, the bigger Maverick tried to make himself, and the louder his bark became, and the more he would growl, and the more that he tried to fight this shadow on his own. Again, gets me thinking, how often, when I am facing these fears and insecurities, these fears of rejection, these fears of failures, do I try to fight them in my own strength? Do I try to make myself bigger and myself better and more prideful, right? And it just is making the situation worse. But it's until I turn to my own light, until I turn to Christ and I try to fight these in his strength and in his power, do I succeed. Until he turns on the light, I can keep barking, growling until I'm blue in the face, and it's not going to do any good. It's not until I turn to him, into his strength, and in his power can I actually fight these. So what fears are you believing? What lies of the darkness, what lies of the devils are you believing that you just need to turn on to the light? Turn the light on, turn to Christ and fight in his power, right? Without him, we are weak, we are nothing. But we are daughters and sons of the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, the great warrior. let's fight like we are his. Let's fight. Let's turn that light on. Let's fight in his strength. It reminds me too of a scene in The Lion King. And I love The Lion King, the original. And there's a scene in there, right, when Simba is like trying to protect Nala against the hyenas, and he like barks and it's like, "Arr!" Like these little baby growls. And then all of a sudden he does it again, and it's a deep, dark, big Mufasa growl. And he doesn't know that Mufasa, his dad, is standing right behind him, and he's doing that. How often are we trying to fight the devil in our own strength when our daddy's right behind us and he's like, child, let me fight this fight with you. Let me fight this fear with you. Let me go to war with you. So turn that light on. Turn to Christ. Fight in his strength. And don't be like my dog Maverick and fight the shadow. Fight your own shadows. All right. Bye.